grab my scissors and some other bits. Is anybody out there? I'm Jeannie. I'm going to start an art lesson in a few minutes from now at 1:30. I've been doing art lessons throughout the lockdown. They're my way of thanking the NHS by giving you some entertainment at home. If you want to make a donation or anything, please make it to the NHS. And if you enjoy the lesson, please put something up on my Facebook page or my TripAdvisor page. This is a picture I was doing as a demo for somebody doing a proper lesson earlier this morning. By proper lesson, I mean the paid ones. I'm not giving away my secrets in these lessons. These are sort of arty, crafty bits of fun and interesting things for you to try out. But this shows the full-on lessons that I do. This was the 3-hour progress of a 10-year-old girl, so it's nothing to do with latent potential or the fact that you have already done lessons or anything. She went from that to that in 3 hours, and that's by understanding how and why the mechanics of drawing work. Most people will just teach you to copy. 3 hours on perspective, even architects have said they couldn't believe in that lesson, what they learnt in that lesson. 3 hours on paint and colour here, and then this was the 5-lesson progress of a 90-year-old stroke victim, 4-lesson progress of a 50-year-old German lady, 3-lesson progress of a 40-year-old Sri Lankan man. So these are all 0 to hero things. These lessons I generally do privately, and a 9-hour course gives you all the core fundamentals you need. And then I'm also doing half-hour clinics. So if you just want to show me an artwork you're on at the moment, then I'll break down the key bits that you don't know, explain it to you so you can improve the picture, which is what this was all about this morning. So if any of you are interested in any of that, please give me a shout. Also, my son and I, he's an entertainer, a juggler in Australia. He and I have been doing joint Zoom birthday parties as well, so I can teach you art in a very effective way. I also do team building with it for big companies like UK Sport, the Eden Project, and many more. Things like banks, law firms, all sorts, Discovery Channel, neuroscientists, Oxford University, because it's all about changing your mindset, physical position, core knowledge. Okay, so I've got a few of you there now. So today we're going to do a few bits and bobs again. Lately my lessons seem to be lots of little bits that I show you and then you decide what to do with them. We're going to do this different ways. The first one I'm going to show you is something you could do onto a card. Now this is a pre-moulded card. You don't need that. I just happen to have one, so I got it out. You could do it. You've got these little ones sometimes that have like a window in them. And people sometimes have those around. I think I had one here somewhere as well. So like there's that one there that's got a little window in it. You can buy pre-formed cards. So if you've got any of those sort of things around, by all means use it. If you haven't, just find a decent piece of coloured cardboard of some description and use that. So don't feel you've got to have them. And we're going to do some different things, making flowers and patterns. And so the first thing we're going to do is actually a bit of quilling. Now some of you might have done quilling before. You can buy these pre-made strips, but I said bits of paper, so you could use wrapping paper or anything. Now if you've got a shredder that just shreds one way, not a cross shredder, a very good way of doing this is actually put a green sheet of paper into your shredder, shred it into strips, and that saves you having to cut it with scissors. Otherwise you're going to have to cut little thin strips with scissors or with a Stanley knife or something. But I think if you've got one of the old shredders that doesn't cross shred and just does strips, just put some coloured paper through your shredder and you've got some great strips of colour. You can use proper tools if you're quilling, like these, and they're different sized twirly bits that you can turn round on, but you could also use a pencil, and I'm just using a cocktail stick thing, to a skewer from a barbecue to show you. So very, very simply, the first one, all I'm going to do is roll the paper around the stick, and I'm just rolling it round and round and round. You could slightly glue the first two bits together if you wanted to make sure it didn't unspiral, but theoretically it shouldn't anyway. I've started it on the stick and now I'm just going to roll it with my fingers because I think that might be quicker. Saying that, I don't think it is, so we'll go back on the stick again. And you can scroll up by rolling the stick, and it's hard for me to show you exactly what I'm doing, but I'm just basically scrolling it around the stick. And you will end up with a swirl like this. Now I'm holding it closed. If I let go of it, can you see it's now opened up a bit like that? And they actually look quite nice, opened up a bit. And that could be just some decorative shape. And what I could do though is then take the other end of this, and I'm actually scrolling it from the other end, and I'm scrolling out in the opposite direction, and I'm just twiddling it around the stick again to scroll it up. You could do this around a biro, around a knitting needle, around a crochet hook. It's just to save you doing it all with your fingers, just finding basically a tool, a machine to help you, and the machine here is the stick. And I'm just twirling it around again. And let's hope I did get this to twirl around the other way. I've got a horrible feeling. Oh, yes, I did. That's good. Right. I did do what I was thinking I was doing. So I'm going to scroll that in now. And then when I let go of both of them now, can you see we've got this most beautiful, oops, oh, it's all wobbling around. There we go. And you can see it kind of against the card like that. And this is just pattern almost. It's two swirls sitting. That one's undoing itself, sorry. So I've got that, and I can use that to be the beginning of my card. And you don't have to start this way. I'm just playing around. And one of my students, one of you guys the other day, wrote to me saying having a jolly good play with your ideas. That's exactly what you should do, because don't take me too seriously and don't take me too literally. Just see it as the beginning of an idea. Now this is going to keep on scrolling, so I'm going to use a glue stick, which I have here. Let's hope it decides it wants to work. I'm not sure it's going to want to. No, actually, no. So I'm going to do it with the glue from the pot that I have here. And this is too gluey, but the stick is refusing to work. So I'm going to put a bit of glue on the cardboard, preferably from a glue stick so it's not quite as messy as mine's going to be. And I'm going to put the bit of glue on, and then pick up my piece of scroll and stick it onto the glue like so. And I'm just scrolling it in a bit. I don't know if you can see, I'll show you what I'm doing. I'm just twiddling it around here a bit. And then I'm going to twiddle it out in the opposite direction, so it's sitting down on the glue, and it will stick completely quite soon. And I can stick the other bit there, and now it's stuck on the card. And it's three-dimensional, so it's casting little shadows. And I'm going to use this as part of a flower. I'm going to put a flower next to it. So what I want to do now is I'm going to take a bigger, thicker piece of paper. Hello Pamela, hello Anita, hello Emily. I'm not quite sure who else is there. Sorry, I'm in dropsy mode again today. I seem to be dropping things a lot. So I'm going to spiral a fatter piece of paper this time, and this one's pink. And I'm just twirling that one up. And I'm going to do the whole of this one. And let it come out a little bit so it's a bit more open like that. And then I'm going to put a little dollop of glue where I want this flower to sit. So let's say I'm going to sit it up here. and then I'm going to stick it down onto the glue, and that's like the first petal of my flower then. So you can see it's stuck down on the glue. And then if I do another one, I'll do the next petal pink as well. So I'll do this as a pink flower. So I'll just pull off a few more pink ones. There we go. And you can do this, as I said, by putting your paper through a shredder. And that actually works really well. So I'm going to do another one, twirl it up. So it's just strips of paper and a stick or a biro or a knitting needle, something to help you. I'm just going to let it pop open a little bit. Stick down another dollop of glue for where this bit of my flower's going. Put the next petal down, let it open up a little bit, but leave the open end of it pointing into the middle so that all the open bits are going towards the centre of the flower. And you can see the flowers starting to grow. And if I just do another couple quickly, probably realistically you should do 5, but I think I'm going to take too much of your time if I do that, so I might just do another couple quickly. And I'm getting faster and faster at this as I go, because my fingers are getting used to what I'm asking them to do now. So I'm going to put the next bit down. And then you can see how you could build up basically a flower, and I could do 2 more to get the whole flower. I got these out on one. I got these out one of the other lessons. These are like little diamante things I bought ages ago. I've got really strange things in my house when I collect things and then use them for something. I did some pictures of mackerel, great big mackerel, huge mackerel, and I've stuck some of these onto the painting to make it shimmer. So that's why I have these strange things, but that's like a diamante thing. And so if you can imagine, I could actually stick that little diamante in the middle of the flower and then do 2 more pink bits, and then that would be an entire flower, and it's got a centre of a diamante. And you might have some old beads around, some old buttons, you could stick those down and use them. And traditionally this is called quilling. You would have only quilled, you'd only use paper. But saying that, why can't you use a combination of things, of quilling and also collaging and sticking things down? So I'm just putting down some more glue for this bit and just going to stick the next petal in. So now you've got nearly the whole flower happening. And I could say, for example, here's some green quilling bits that are waiting to be pulled apart that came from a kit this time, but it's the same as putting it through a paper shredder. You could put a few bits stuck on their side to be grasses coming up and around. You can have all sorts of different coloured flowers, and there's all sorts of shapes you can make with these as well. So I'm just going to use a different colour so you can see. So I'm going to use blue, and I'm going to show you a couple of the different shapes you can do. So I'm going to do a little circle again. This time I'm just going to do it with my fingers and just roll this one in. So I'm just rolling it in again first, which is generally the beginning of all of these, like that. So there's the little scroll. Then I'm going to let it go a bit so it opens up. And then I'm going to stick my finger in here and buckle it in from the top. And I'm going to be pinching at the other end. And in doing so, I've created something a little bit like a little love heart. So we've got a little blue heart there now. And you could do that. So I'm going to stick that down. So my card is going to be really weird. And don't worry, I'm not actually going to give it to anyone because I don't think anybody particularly want it. But you might want the ideas I've got from it. So that one can either be a little heart, or it could be one wing of a butterfly, or it could be one petal of a different flower that's a different shape. So it could have all sorts of options on that one. You can also do one that's like a triangle, and again I'm going to do this one in purple just so you can see it's something different that I'm doing. So I'm going to pull off a purple strip now. But remember, you could do this with wrapping paper, you can do with this printer paper. Don't feel that you have to always have the right equipment, and don't feel that you have to be purist and only do one thing. If you fancy using this idea in conjunction with collaging on pretty beads all over the place and some buttons and whatever else you want, do it. It's your picture. You're allowed to do whatever you like. So I want you to just have some fun fiddling around with it. I'm just rolling this one up now. This is the purple one, so that one's just scrolling up quickly. And this time I'm going to make this one more like a teardrop. So I'm going to let it open up a little bit. I'm going to use the open end to help me, and I'm going to squeeze it together there at that end. And now you can see you've got something more like a teardrop. So if I stick that one down, you'll probably see it a bit more clearly. Again, it could be the shape of a different petal. So one could be teardroppy, one could be hearty. Okay, and you can see that one now. And basically, by pinching them and squeezing them, you could turn them into a triangle, like an eye, an oval. You could do like a curve. So it's more like a crescent, and just fiddling about like that. And also, we can stick, if you wanted to, single strands of the paper on their edge as well. And maybe just curl up an end of it or something just to make it a little bit interesting. So I'm just curling the end like that. And if I now put a bit of glue down and stick this one on, it can be almost like a piece of grass. Now you need less glue than I've got, preferably a glue stick, but in some ways at least you can see my glue this way. And I'm sticking it down, bedding it down into the glue, but on its edge, so the edge, not the flat side, is going down on the glue. And you can see how you can build up an entire picture. And as I said, we could make 4 like this and put a little line through the middle, make it into a butterfly. We could have finished the flower, we could stick more beads on it. So we've got all those sort of ideas there. And I don't like telling you what your finished product should look like. I just like giving you ideas to let you have your imagination run away with you. Now I'm going to pull these two here off for a minute and shift them over here somewhere, just to move them over a little bit. And I might just put this one over here for no reason other than to give myself a little bit of space. But you could see you could build up a whole bouquet of flowers this way. And something like coloured wrapping paper would be quite fun. I found this stuff, you could do something like silver and gold if you cut yourself little strips, all sorts. Now, with this again, if I take another of these stones I've got here, because I've got loads of them, so they're a good thing for me to use up. I've taken a stone there, and I've shown you these before, but I've got these feathers, and I don't remember where they came from, but they're from quite a while ago. And what happens is I keep bits and bobs from different projects I've had. And what you could do would be actually to stick a whole lot of these, and if that was too long, even chop it off. And I could turn those into some sort of flower as well by sticking the bits of it around in a circle. I suppose you could find feathers in the street. I just happen to have some lurid pink feathers around that I'm trying to think how to use up. And basically build up the beginning of a flower or a butterfly or something in feathers. And let me put down the other two. I've just put it on my lap for a second so I can do it quicker. So I'm going to put the other two on. And this is going to look a bit peculiar, but peculiar can be quite good fun. Right, so there's my feather flower, like that, but it needs a middle now. So I'm just going to glue my bead, or possibly a few beads on this one to make it a bit more interesting. I put glue on the back of my little glittery bead bit, and I can stick that in the middle, and I could put a whole lot of them and make that into a flower, and then I could give it a paper stem if I wanted to. So there's another idea. You could cut out little bits of fabric if you've got fabric and go that sort of route. So we've got like quilled flowers that you can do all sorts of different shapes. We've got feather flowers, we've got diamantes or buttons or something in the middle of them to make them interesting. You could use sparkly paper, you could use matte paper. No particular set of rules on it. Another quite fun idea as far as flowers go is you could either use 1 or 2 or even 3 if you wanted cotton buds. And what you could do is make the cotton bud heads become the stamen in the middle of the flower. So we could do something like that, and if I had some paint even around, you could dip the ends in black, something like that, and you could bind these together with some of this green tape that we've got, especially if you glued it. So these green strips again, I could actually glue one of those down and bind it around to get the stem of the flower. So if I just do that quickly, so there's the top, and I'm using the cotton bud, either one or a few of them, to become the stamen in the middle of the flower. And I'd need to wrap this considerably more neatly than I am, but you can see you could bind it down on glue to make the stalk. And then we could go back to either adding our feathers around it, if you want it, or alternatively, we could take a piece of coloured paper and we could start making paper flowers. And the way you'd want to do that, and again, this is this lurid orange paper you've seen a few times. Somewhere along the line I used it for something and I actually can't remember what. And I obviously bought too much of it, which is why I've got loads of it around now. So I'm just folding it. In fact, it probably would have been easier to cut out a circle first, so we'll pretend that was a pure circle, then fold it in half and then fold a third up and a third down, and now I've got 6 petals. And now if I cut out like this to the outside, I've got all my petals like that. And if I cut a tiny hole in the middle by just cutting that corner off, but just literally only the corner, I can now slide that up my stalk, which should be all covered in green. Of course, it could have been a pipe cleaner you used there or something, but I've used cotton buds or a cotton bud, again, completely at your discretion. And by the time you bring that up like that, you've got the heads coming through, you've got the stalk, and the last thing that you would need to do would be to cut, and this time I've got green tissue paper again. Because I happen to have it, I haven't bought this specially. I literally go through my cupboards and see what I've got and then use it. So again, I'm going to make this into a circle. Would have been better. Again, you could draw around like my cotton bud top. I'm just going to cut it into a circle freehand like that. Now I'm going to fold from the straight line a third in this way and then a third back that way, just to get 6 bits again. Cut up like this. Cut a hole in the middle, but tiny, not too big. And then if I tuck that up the back, that becomes the bit behind the flower. And I can't think what its proper title is. I'm sure one of you ladies, as I know I've got lots of gardeners out there, will tell me what I'm talking about. But the bit that goes up the back like this, and then I can glue that in place. And you've got the back bit of the flower with that, and the front bit here. And if you wanted the odd petal on it, then all you've got to do is cut a piece of the green that you've got left into the shape of a petal, or rather a leaf, and then stick that on as well. So if we put a bit of glue there. And you've got a flower. You could have always done one side of the flower, one colour, one the other. You could have done 2 layers of petals. There are endless possibilities. So don't stick with the basics like I am. Just take it to wherever your dreams take you. And don't be frightened to explore and expand on the ideas. So you could make a series like that as a little bunch of them. You could do the same, as I said, using pipe cleaners, and you could use that as the stem. The other idea I had today was to take a piece of string, and this is still all to do with flowers today, and cut some leaves, but we're going to cut it this time as a strip right across this green tissue paper. Like so. I'm going to put the string on my lap. I'm going to fold this in half. Actually, no, I think I'll go third and third, like that. And then I'm going to fold it in half once more. And if I cut like this, from that last fold up and around, and the same the other way, up and around, then I'll end up with lots of pairs of leaves. Can you see what I've ended up with? Like this, loads of them. Now for the leaf bit, what I'm going to do is you could make a loop at one end of your string, and that could be the bit you're going to, I've got a feather chasing me now, that could be the bit that you put hooked onto something. But what you can do with string is you can actually flay it apart like this and actually split the sections of the string apart like that. You see I've kind of made a hole in the string, and then you could post one leaf through the hole like so, and then pull the string and it will hold it back in place. Now I don't like this dangly bit here, so I'm just going to cut that off. And we did make paper carnations a few weeks ago. You could make those and attach these to them. I'm doing the leaves first, and then I'll do the flowers second. But if I make another hole in the string a bit further down by pulling the layers of the string apart again, tuck the leaf through like that, and then pull the string back, it holds the leaves in place. And if you wanted to fold them a bit or curl them a bit or anything like that, and depending what paper it is, you could even pull your scissors over and make them curl a bit. I'm just going to mess about with them a bit just so they don't look too boring. And can you see how you start getting a row of leaves? Now if I put another couple in quickly, and then I'll show you how you can put flowers through this or into this as well. So I'm just tucking another leaf through another hole like this, and then I'm going to pull the string tight again, and that will hold it in place, and so it goes on. So this would hook up, and you're basically making a chain of leaves, and you'd obviously keep going with all of these. Some of the leaves could be close together, sometimes further apart. On one of them here, I think I'm going to put 4 leaves through in one hole, so I'm just going to do one more a bit further down, and I'm going to post 2 of my sets of leaves through at once, and then with any luck they'll kind of come out in different directions if I hold them right to begin with. And that one you can see has now got 4 leaves through it, and maybe I could twist and turn them a bit to look like they're coming in different directions. So that would be hanging up, and you might want to put a weight on the end of something, a bead or a bauble or something, just to keep it down straight. We could then go back to the dreaded feathers and use those to become your flowers by poking them through the loops as well. Or alternatively, you can cut a small circle going round something smaller than that. So I'm just going to cut a circle quickly. This is like, here's one I prepared earlier. And when you've cut a much smaller circle, so I'm going to make this considerably smaller, it's more like the size of a sewing bob, a reel of cotton or something like that. So if I do that, you could then fold it in half, and then you could do the same as before, fold in a third from the middle and out a third from the middle. And you could cut it again like we've done before with a curve that came round here. But this time what we could also do is actually cut in with a whole lot of little lines like this. And then you'll get something even more like a daisy, let's say, rather than a rose. And you don't want anything to drop off, but you just want the lines. Open it up. Definitely got dropsy today, I'm sorry. And I hope you're all enjoying being able to go out a little bit more, for those of you who can. I went for a lovely walk on the beach the other day, nowhere near anybody obviously, but it was still nice to get out there. So I've got this now with all the edges, and we could crinkle some of those up or curl them up over a pencil or something, just so that they're standing up a bit more and a bit more interesting, so some are forward and some are back. So that's quite good. I can either scrunch it together to make it a flower like that kind of thing, or alternatively, I can cut a slice into it to the middle, all the way in like that, and then I can glue it together, having brought it round in a bit of a loop. So I've made it into more like a cup. If you've done that, then you can use that flower, if you attach it to like a little bit of paper, to a cotton bud. This time I'm going to use a bit of a pipe cleaner I found. It can be just be ingenious, have a think. It could even be another piece of string. So I'm just going to cut the pipe cleaner with the scissors. And I'm going to make a little knot at one end to go through the flower at the center, just so it doesn't pull straight through. I'm going to actually, no, this one I've already cut the slit. I'm going to place it in through the slit like that. Then I'm going to glue it together around that by bringing it over itself more. So I'm just going to tuck some glue in there. And this could be sellotape, it can be fabric you do it with. Don't think because we haven't actually used fabric you couldn't do it with fabric. You certainly can. And there's the flower now with the center, and it's being curved up. We could do the green bit around the bottom again if you wanted. But as far as my piece of string goes here and my leaves, what I can now do with this is open up the string just above my leaves, preferably not in the same gap, and stick my flower now through. And then I'm going to just bring the bit of wire that I've got there around the string just to keep it in place. And now we've got petals and a flower hanging down the string, and you might choose to have the flowers like this coming forward at you, or maybe pointing down, pointing up, and you could connect them on the different sides of the string coming out in different directions. You could always have used the cotton bud again to be the bit that goes through the string, and you could have attached a flower at either end and had them dangling out through. And potentially even this one, if you wanted to open up the string and post it through, you could have posted even a really big one through the string. The other way you could have done this, just as a last but not least today, I think I've just stuck my hair in the glue today, that was good work, is we could have cut round a circle again, and you can just use anything as a template, a cup, a glass, a mug, anything you like. I'm just doing it freehand quickly. Fold it in half, fold a third from the middle this way and a third from the middle that way. That way you get 6 points, or if you want to, you could just fold it in half and half again if that's too complicated for you. And this one's going to have 8 leaves now because I did it half and half. And then cut your petal out like that. Cut your center out again. And we've got a different kind of flower again. You could cut 2 layers of it. We can either scrunch it together again like that, or we can cut it open again like before, and then take this section and lay it behind this section and glue it into place, and then the flower stands up. Put a center through it and then attach it to your rope. So this rope in the end will almost look like it's something that's come out of a tropical jungle with all these beautiful and elaborate different flowers in different colors, hanging with different shaped leaves, different color leaves. And all you have to do to secure them in place is open up the string and post things through. So there you go, all a bit of daftness as ever from me. I warned you I might be having to change things a bit, and I'm afraid that is the case. I've got a number of events coming up over the next few days, some personal, some work. And so this week, certainly, I will be here on Saturday, but not on Sunday. And then I'm going to do next Wednesday. So Saturday and Wednesday are the next 2, and I'll tell you on Wednesday what I plan to do after that. I am sorry, but obviously I'm also teaching professionally, and as I said, there's a couple of personal things coming up in the next few days, which is confusing it all a bit. So this week I will be here on Saturday at 2:30 and Wednesday, and then after that I'll tell you which days I'll be doing. For anyone new, there's a number of lessons still up and available. I think there's over 40 of them now on all manner of things, so they're not all this. So please send photos. That's nice. Michael's just preempted what I was going to say. Send photos of your work and I will put some up. I hope you've enjoyed it. I'll just hold this up again. I don't think anyone's ever going to come into my shop and buy this, but there you go. So there was the idea of making flowers out of all bits and bobs, but using diamantes or buttons or something to be the middle, making up a flower and leaves, using quilling. Hearts could become butterflies. There was the teardrop one, which could be either a flower or whatever. We did a flower using cotton buds, and you could have touched the middles here with a colour on the top to make it more interesting. You could have put lines and colours on your flowers. You could have used 2 layers, had 2 sets of petals overlaying each other, the bit up the back, and then binding the stalks together like that. And we had a piece of string with flowers posted through it, and you could have that hanging in a office or over a bed or something, or even down. It's almost like a 4-poster bed idea, but have all sorts of different flowers and things, and you could put all manner of bits and bobs. You don't have to be, what's the rule on it? No rule. I mean, even if we had a few bits of feather just hanging through it, it could look really good, almost like a dream catcher or something. So there you go. I hope that's been interesting. I will see you on Saturday, and then I will see you the following Wednesday. If anyone wants any private lessons with me, do contact me, and I promise you the results will be amazing in a very short space of time. If you go on my TripAdvisor and have a look at my website, you'll see some of the comments by big businesses and individuals who've done lessons, and there's some all over Facebook as well. Take care of yourselves, enjoy your day. I hope you've all enjoyed your walks and things, and see you all on Saturday. Bye.